Charlie Marlow talking AFC NFC Championship games. A look ahead, preview Super Bowl 2025. Hello, everybody. Also listening in on podcast on Kenny Wallace Media. Did you guys watch the games? Did you watch the games all day long for like 7 hours? That's a tough ask. I live in Central Time here in the great city of St. Louis, Missouri. So the games start 2 o'clock Central, the second game right around 5:30 there. That's a tough ask. If you got kids and all that, to sit down and watch 7 hours of football. But I was pretty efficient and productive. I got the man cave in the basement, which has essentially become my kids' playroom, and I just was cleaning their playroom, their messes while I'm watching the game and trying to help out and not be the deadbeat dad that just sits down there and watches football for 7 straight hours. But that's also essentially what I did. Don't do that very often, though. Not going to lie. By the way, I bring that up because I put this out on X. I believe it was either Saturday or Sunday. Are you guys with me on this? Do you think it'd be better for the NFL if instead of having the AFC and NFC Championship game both on Sunday, they did one on the Saturday and the other one on Sunday? And they can switch it up. Doesn't have to be AFC on Saturday, NFC on Sunday, whatever it is. Do you guys like that idea? I know people say that the AFC NFC Championship game Sunday, it's actually the best football day of the year, better than the Super Bowl. And I don't necessarily disagree. But I'm also a person where I like that one event each day to focus on. And if you're the NFL, you could own 2 different days. You could own that Saturday. Think about it. The game's going to be 3.5 hours. The post-game ceremony is going to be half an hour. You do a 2-hour pregame show. You do an hour post-game show. You still got something like 7 hours of coverage each day. I think the NFL should look at that. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? All right, let's get to the games, and we'll go in reverse order. We'll go backwards because the late game, by the way, was by far the better game. Classic game. Bills, Chiefs. Chiefs win 32-29. I was looking at the stats, and you talk about an evenly matched game. Look at this. So total yards, Bills 374, Chiefs 368. Time of possession, Bills 30 minutes and 32 seconds, Chiefs 29 minutes and 28 seconds. Bills penalized 6 times for 48 yards, Chiefs 5 times for 21 yards. The Chiefs did have a turnover there, but essentially identical stats. Chiefs 233 passing yards, Bills 227 rushing yards, Chiefs 135, Bills 147. You look at the team stats, and dang, so close. Total plays, Bills 68, Chiefs 63. But in the end, the Chiefs win the game 32-29. I mean, this is a freaking dynasty, folks. What do you think about this? I have nothing against the Chiefs, nothing against Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. I know some people don't like all that, but I'm just a little tired of them. And it's nothing they did. To me, it's more about I just like to see new teams win, different teams win. And I have to say also, I do feel sorry for Buffalo Bills fans. And this is going back, 30, 35 years now. I'm 42 years old. I'll be 43 years old this year. Everybody remembers the Bills, those great Buffalo Bills, 90s teams, Jim Kelly, Marv Levy, and going to 4 straight Super Bowls. Thurman Thomas, right? Don Beebe, the names, the list goes on and on. 4 straight Super Bowls and could never win a Super Bowl. And so I feel sorry for Bills Mafia. Cool fan base. They love football up there, a place like that. I've only been to one game at Bill Stadium, whatever they call it, Orchard Park up there, but it was awesome. Bills Mafia is legit. They're passionate. It's one of those places where there's not much else to do besides be a football fan, besides be a hockey fan, right? That's what being a member of Bills Mafia is all about. You got to love that. You got to love it. So I feel bad for Bills Mafia, feel bad for the fans, but also they had their chances. I mean, at the end of the day, Josh Allen and the Bills, one of these days, they just have to break through. But you're running up against a freaking dynasty in Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the thing. It's starting to look like Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan was going through his back-to-back three-peats with the Chicago Bulls, how many other great players were never able to win a championship against Jordan for all those years, whether it be the Knicks, Patrick Ewing? Well, you had some great Indiana Pacers teams there. But that's what you're having here with the Chiefs, because you have generational and Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Josh Allen. And what is he now? 0-4 versus the Chiefs in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson. How many MVPs is he going to have? And that's right there in the AFC. And these guys sometimes can't get past each other before they even get to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You saw Joe Burrow and the Bengals break through a few years ago. But man, it's hard for me. I can't hate on the Chiefs. Like I said, I'm not mad at them. I don't hate them. I just like to see new teams. And now we have a rematch of the Super Bowl from a couple years ago, which I couldn't remember if that was a great Super Bowl or not. It was, by the way. 38-35, Chiefs, Eagles. So hopefully we have that again. For me, I'd like the reverse outcome, though. I'd like to see the Eagles now break through and beat the Chiefs, just because, again, let's see some new teams win. I know the Eagles won a few years back with Nick Foles and all that, but that was also a time ago, right? I mean, that wasn't the same team with Jalen Hurts and all that. So for me, different coaching staff, enough time has passed where I'm okay with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. What did you guys think of that game, though? I think in the end, first of all, you have Patrick Mahomes, who's probably the greatest of all time. He might not win more Super Bowls than Tom Brady, but I think he's a better quarterback than Tom Brady. He makes plays, he makes throws that really nobody else makes. I would have said Aaron Rodgers back in the day, but there's even some throws that Patrick Mahomes makes that I don't think anybody in the history of the NFL can make. The other thing is, I feel like when you watch the Chiefs play, they have a coaching advantage. They have a play calling advantage that's pretty obvious when you watch them and you watch other teams. Andy Reid is an absolute offensive genius, and he's getting better and better with age. The way he draws up plays and motion, it just always seems like somebody's open. And then you look on the other side of the ball. Steve Spagnuolo dialing up exotic blitzes the way he did at the end with a corner blitz, catching Josh Allen and the Bills off guard on the biggest play of their season defensively for the Chiefs. And by the way, so people know, so again, I live in St. Louis, and I covered the Rams from 2008 till when they left. And when I got here, basically, you had the Rams, and they got rid of their coach right then. And Steve Spagnuolo came in the next year. So that was 2009. So Spags was here, 3-4 years? I'll look it up. But it was a really, really rough stretch for the Rams under Steve Spagnuolo. And I don't think he did a good job at all as a head coach, to be honest with you. He focused on the wrong things. Now, also, it was an organization that was totally dysfunctional. But Spags had some self-inflicted wounds as well. He didn't focus on things that mattered. There was a lot of talk in the media about him taking down old pictures from The Greatest Show on Turf, and he would worry about where the photographers were standing and the media couldn't use a certain bathroom. And it's like, focus on the field. Focus on what's going on in the field, okay? So I was not a huge fan of Spags when he was here. Nice guy, by the way. And his wife, Maria, great people, interviewed him a million times. I don't think he did a good job at all as a head coach of the St. Louis Rams. He'd probably even tell you that. But also, this dude is an unbelievable defensive coordinator. You got to give him credit. Going back to his days with the New York Giants, I know he had a bad year there, right, with the New Orleans Saints, but how many Super Bowls is this dude going to have when it's all said and done? And look, it's not a knock to say that this dude isn't a a great or even good NFL head coach, but he's an elite, unbelievable defensive coordinator. And I don't know if he'll get another chance as a head coach. Maybe he doesn't want another chance as a head coach. Maybe he loves the fact that he's winning Super Bowls. He's with a great organization now with the Kansas City Chiefs, with Andy Reid. He can take over the defense. You have the best quarterback in the history of football, arguably, with Patrick Mahomes. So maybe Spags is very happy right there as the DC with the Chiefs. What I'm trying to say, though, is that dude is really good at his job. He is really good as a DC. And when you watch those games, it sure looks like the Chiefs have a coaching advantage on both sides of the football. And they're really good organizationally at drafting and finding value as well. So I want your guys' comments. Watching the game, you had Jim Nantz, Tony Romo. I also, at the end of the game, I had to run to the store real quick for my wife. And I was listening to the game on the radio for a bit. That was actually during the controversial spot call. I want to hear your guys' comments on that as well. But I was listening to Kevin Harlan. Kevin Harlan is just freaking unbelievable on the broadcast. He's so good. As I was listening to him, I'm like, you know what? I almost prefer listening on the radio because I feel like Kevin Harlan is that good. He adds that much to the game. So want to hear from you guys on that. And look, I know there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of discussion, huge narrative about the Chiefs getting basically every single call and all that. And then there were some stats that back that up over the years that the Chiefs got a ton of calls in the playoffs. This game, I told you about the turnovers. It was pretty dang close, 6-5. And I think yardage was maybe 48 yards versus the Bills and 21 penalty yards versus the Chiefs, whatever it is. It was pretty close. I also think the Chiefs are just really good, right? Mahomes is really good. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but in terms of just kind of knowing how to get calls. And I said this, I was very public last week. I thought the Chiefs got every single 50-50 call versus the Houston Texans. That was pretty egregious to me. I didn't think this game was decided by the officials at all. And by the way, I didn't think last week's was decided by the officials at all. It just became a big storyline. I'm not saying that the Chiefs would have lost to the Texans. It just became a huge, overwhelming storyline when on the surface, one team seems to be getting every single 50-50 call. All right. Let's go back then the first game. Okay. Eagles, Commanders. Not a very good game. And this one just straight up came down to turnovers. I haven't looked at the stats. I'm not saying that the Commanders would have won this game without the turnovers. I don't think they would have, but it would have been a much better football game. When you're watching that, so in the end, it's 55-23. But early on in that game, so many unforced errors by the Commanders. So let's go ahead and look at the stats here. Turnovers. I mean, this pretty much tells the story. 4 turnovers for Washington, 0 for the Philadelphia Eagles. 0. And this was kind of the storyline last week, too, in terms of you look at that game between the Bills and the Ravens. Who turns the ball over less, right? That team is usually going to win in the playoffs in bad weather where there's not a ton of offense typically. Although in this game, you had the Eagles just scoring at will, especially on the ground. And look at the yards disparity. Eagles 459, Commanders 350. Rushing yards, 229 rushing yards for the Eagles. But again, look, time of possession. 30 minutes, 31 seconds for Philly. 29 minutes, 29 seconds. Basically even. You look at that, you go, oh, is it an even game? Hell no. Eagles just demolished them, 55-23, winning the turnover battle 4-0. So again, look, if the Commanders, I know it's kind of like if Grandpa had balls, she'd be grandma, he'd be grandma, whichever way you say it, right? But I mean, take the 4 turnovers away. It's a much better game. I still don't think. Look, just go right there. I mean, give the Commanders, let's say they score a touchdown in every single one of those drives. Okay, it's a much closer game, but I think the Eagles still win. But the turnovers were the story. Eagles, unbelievable team. Another really well-run organization. And that's what, if you're a fan of football and just doing things the right way, the Eagles and the Chiefs, they both do that. Drafting, finding value. Now on the other side, look, Jaden Daniels, unbelievable season as a rookie. He led my fantasy football team, have to say, all season long. But I remember Jason Kelsey said this, and I'm not even saying that Jaden Daniels necessarily is better overall than Jalen Hurts, but he was looking at just the fact that Jaden Daniels had led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game, and he goes, you know what? If you take away the quarterbacks, though, and he wasn't even trying to knock Jalen Hurts. Yeah, Jaden. But what he was saying was he would take the Eagles basically at every other position group. And I know he's biased a little bit, maybe a lot, because he was a longtime Eagle, but he's also an NFL analyst. I think he was right. You can say Jaden Daniels is better than Jalen Hurts. Pretty close, but whatever. Where else would you rather have a Commanders player or a position group instead of the Philadelphia Eagles? That's what he's trying to say. And I think that was a pretty fair and apt statement. Broadcasters. I'm going to go back to broadcasting because, Jim Nantz, when you hear Jim Nantz, it feels like a big game. When you hear, to me, Kevin Harlan, it feels like a big game. Even though I'm not the biggest Romo fan, and he's fine. I don't really critique broadcasters that much. But the reason I bring this up, Tom Brady is such a big name. He's trying his best out there. He's just not a great analyst yet. And I also think, like Kevin Burkhardt, great analyst, right? I mean, pro, but he's not a Nance yet. He's not a Joe Buck. He's not a Kevin Harlan, just because he's younger. Now, maybe he becomes that guy. It's really hard to replace a Joe Buck. I mean, same with baseball. Joe Davis had to replace Joe Buck for the World Series for Fox Baseball. Now, obviously, it was different because Joe Buck and Troy Aikman moved from Fox to ESPN, but still, I think it takes a while as a broadcast crew to feel as iconic as some of these big names, the Joe Bucks, the Al Michaels, the Jim Nantz of the world. And I'm one of the guys, I know a lot of people say this, I think Greg Olson is a better analyst than Tom Brady. Right now, especially. Clearly, Tom Brady is a bigger name. Maybe Tom Brady does become a really good analyst. And you understand, they gave him a huge contract. What did they give him? Was it like $275 million for 10 years, whatever it was. Unbelievable contract for Tom Brady. And he's trying. He's out there smiling. Clearly, I mean, the dude knows the game, but it's hard to articulate it in quick little spurts there right before the next play is called. What do you guys think? Kevin Harlan, to me, I'd take Kevin Harlan over anybody. I like Nantz. Nantz, for me, little squeaky clean. I like a little more fun in the booth. I like a little more edge in the booth. But Nantz, he's a golf guy and all that. Kevin Harlan, to me, though, is just the man. When I hear Kevin Harlan's voice, he elevates the sporting event to me. But I want to hear from you guys as well. So I'm not going to go super long here, but Super Bowl coming up here. Super Bowl 2025, whatever the hell the Roman numeral is, because again, we only care about Roman numerals when it comes to Super Bowls. I want the Eagles to win. I won't be mad if the Chiefs win, but I've had enough of the Chiefs. There's a big debate also here in St. Louis about if St. Louis football fans should be Chiefs fans, because clearly we're in the same state, even though we're on opposite sides, and Kansas City is a good 3.5 hours away. We don't have a team because our Rams left. So you want to root for a team. We have a bunch of teams within about a 3.5, 4 hour radius. If you just go around, you got the Chiefs, you got the Bears, you got the Tennessee Titans. Who am I missing there? That's relatively close. Packers aren't super far away. But also you had the Chiefs and the fact that they voted against us in terms of when the team was relocated. I will say this. I have a 7-year-old daughter, 3.5-year-old son. Especially with my daughter, when I see a bunch of kids around the playground and all that, or if I'm watching one of her sporting events, so many Mahomes jerseys, so many Kansas City Chiefs jerseys. But you probably don't see that just honestly in St. Louis because we're kind of close. You probably see that all over the country because Patrick Mahomes is such an incredible and also fun player to watch. You see some Kelsey jerseys here and there. I'm sure hey, look, there's probably a lot of young girls that now are Chiefs fans because of Taylor Swift. My daughter hasn't gotten to Taylor Swift yet, but I know that phase is certainly coming. Once again, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you think about everything I said? Do you like both games being on Sunday? I'd like to split them up. The other thing is, here's what I was thinking though. People were complaining about the college football playoff national championship game being on a Monday, which I don't love either. But what if you made this past weekend just the massive football weekend? What if you kept AFC NFC Championship game on Sunday, but you had the college football playoff national championship game on Saturday night about 6:30 Central Time? Saturdays, those are for college football. Sundays are for the NFL. To me, I like the NFL games on Saturdays, but only when the college football season ends. Do you guys feel like the college football national championship game, has it been kind of has it lost a little bit of its luster as it kind of goes further into NFL playoffs? It's on a Monday night, kind of a weird night. To me, Saturday makes all the sense in the world, unless you're going to do the holiday thing and you're going to build it around New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, but specifically New Year's Day. New Year's Day is another day that college football has historically owned. So those are my thoughts on the AFC NFC Championship games. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys listening. For all of our local people, please support our sponsors, our local sponsors, Triad Bank, triadbanking.com. Best thing I ever did for my rental property business, taking all my loans from a big national bank that didn't care about me to a local bank over there in Frontenac, Triad Bank. My guy, Matthew Tobin, been working with him for 5-6 years. They've been a sponsor for 4 or 5 years. I go there all the time. Can't say enough great things about Triad Bank. You got St. Louis Lawn Care for all your lawn care needs, for your treatment of your grass here during the winter months is very important, even though there's a bunch of snow on the ground right now. And speaking of the snow, St. Louis Equipment, stlmowerrepair.com. They got snow blowers. They got all the different equipment to remove the snow. And you have Corner Butcher and Chop House over there in Fenton Valley Park area, and also Corner Butcher West out there in beautiful Ellisville. Thank you all. I told you I'm not going to go super long here. Kenny Wallace Media, if you're listening still, please comment, like, subscribe, rate. Those 5-star ratings really help. Here on the football channel, Take No Offense Sports on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe as we're trying to build this thing up over 1,000 subscribers. We're just getting started. All right. It's the Chiefs. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. Super Bowl 2025, a rematch from 2 years ago when the Chiefs won 38-35. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, my guy Spags, Travis, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, the whole gang, going for a three-peat for 3 straight Super Bowl wins 2 weeks from yesterday. Can't wait. And also, if you're listening on Kenny Wallace Media, NASCAR season is super close, baby. We got the Clash next week at Bowman Gray, and then you got the Super Bowl the week after that. You can take a little break from racing, and then boom, that next Sunday. What a great time on the sports calendar as the Daytona 500. The Great American Race is then the following Sunday here. Unbelievable time, sports fans. I know football is about ready to end. We're sad about that. But NASCAR and racing just getting started, and can't wait for an unbelievable year on the Kenny Wallace YouTube channel and also Kenny Wallace Media. All right, guys, thank you so much. Please support our sponsors. Once again, Triad Bank, St. Louis Lawn Care, St. Louis Equipment, Corner Butcher and Chop House, Corner Butcher West. Charlie Marlow signing off. Have a great week, everybody.